Hello everybody, my name is Kirk Barbera and I hate poetry, and I hope you do too. And today, again, we're going to talk about some poetry. And this episode I want to talk about dinner party poetry. How to bring a little bit of poetry or an ancient method that has gone on for all of human history except till just recently of using poems to bring people together. That's the purpose of poetry. It's always been the purpose. So I was thinking that maybe we should do a little bit more of this in dinner parties. And if you've been to a dinner party like I have, I've noticed that one of the best things about a good host is being engaging, interesting, bringing, whether it's themes or something cool or an engaging topic, but they're really good at getting people engaged and opened up. And alcohol, wine, is a really good way of doing that. So today I'm going to pair a wine. This one is Ravenswood, a Cabernet Sauvignon from, I hope I'm saying that right. I know less about wine than I do poetry. But this one is a California 2014. It's cheap. It's cheap. But I like to just try different types of wines all the time. No need to go crazy. I don't think, it's your call. I'm not a wine snoot any more than I'm a poetry snoot. The poem is going to be a William Blake poem. And I'm going to teach you how at a dinner party you can actually use a poem that's going to be easy for everyone to understand. You may need to, read it once or twice. I'm going to give you a couple little tips on how to do that. But that can actually bring up a really controversial topic that could really get people going, but in a way that, if done correctly, won't go off the rails, right? That's what you want to avoid. So bring up something interesting that really stirs people's souls a little bit and that gets them questioning things in a way that's engaging and gets them talking. So stick around, we're going to drink some wine and we're going to read a poem. Okay, everybody, let's talk about some dinner party poetry. The poem we're going to talk about is The Tiger by William Blake. And I want to, as quickly as possible, showcase a quick difference between logical prose, what you would read in a Stephen King novel, your newspaper, or something like that, versus poetry, which is something that has been out of vogue probably for 50 years. People don't really read deep poetry anymore, and for a good reason. Like, I've hated poetry my whole life, and I think it's a good reason. It's been, a lot of things have happened in the world, but there are a lot of very exciting, intriguing, enlightening, entertaining poetry that's simple and accessible to anybody. Because poets wrote poetry for the common people. And that includes me. I mean, for the masses is who they wanted it for. It only gets complicated because we associate poetry with Shakespeare, which was written 500 plus years ago, and the language has fundamentally changed. Okay, so poetry is about bringing people together. I have a way, I think, that has been, you can use at a dinner party and, make it interesting. You can even put out little, cut out some of the questions I'm going to provide and, with the poem, and then just, let people kind of talk about it or read it, or it's kind of just think of it as a conversation starter at the worst. At best, you could ask people to read it, or you could read it and, kind of ask some of the questions that I'm going to offer here. But first, highlighting prose and poetry, because this is a controversial topic. It's The Tiger by William Blake, which addresses kind of an interesting way to think about the problem of evil. Now, you may think you're never supposed to talk about religion or politics at the dinner parties, but with this kind of technique, with poetry, you can do something like this, and you can be a little sneaky, because one of the things that religion and politics does very effectively is it really stirs up people's emotions. And if done right, you can really get people excited, without, making people angry at each other. Okay, so first, here's a prose explanation of a philosopher talking about the problem of evil. So this is logic. This is, what you would read in a philosophy book. If God were all-knowing, it seems that God would know about all of the horrible things that happen in our world. If God were all-powerful, God would be able to do something about all the evil and suffering. Furthermore, if God were morally perfect, then surely God would want to do something about it. Since he does not, he either does not exist or is not worth worshiping. All of that, except for the last sentence, I literally pulled from a online philosophy website that just talked briefly about the problem of evil. So there's a lot of text about the problem of evil, what that means, why is there evil in the world? Now, another way a poet does this very differently. A poet brings up this same topic in a much more subtle, with more imagery. A tiger brings up the same topic and gets you thinking about it rather than just slamming it down your throat, which I think is a much better way of bringing up interesting topics that are engaging and controversial at a dinner party. I just took a really, really big gulp of wine for some reason. So first, you have to understand that in the context of history, except for recently, tigers are scary motherfuckers. Like, seriously. Like, people died and were killed and carried off by tigers. There's poems about, the horrible tiger that came in and killed people. So tigers are not the cute and cuddly things that we see them now, on TV, or the dodo. Like, look at this tiger playing with its master. No, that's a tamed tiger of some sort, or is used to that particular person. Because a tiger in the jungle will rip your freaking head off, eat your intestines, and not even blink twice. Like, you are animal meat to it. That's the reality of it. Tigers were ferocious and scary beasts. So you have to keep that context. It's a monstrous, evil, murdering machine is a big old tiger. That's how people are always going to have always thought about tigers. So keep that in your head. Okay, so we're going to go through the poem. As I always recommend, I recommend you read it twice. The first time you read a poem, it's not going to make sense. So read the thing twice. Read it twice, please, at least. And in a dinner party, you read it, and maybe you can have somebody else to read it, or you can, have two other people read it. Make that part of the challenge. I guarantee the language is simple enough. You are going to understand it. It's not Shakespeare. This is much more recent to us. Okay, so let me read The Tiger by William Blake, and then I'm going to give you a couple of questions to ask each other, and just to think about each of the stanzas very quickly that you can do for yourself. Okay, The Tiger by William Blake. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? In what distant deeps or skies burnt the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire? What the hand dare seize the fire? And what shoulder and what art could twist the sinews of thy heart? And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand and what dread feet? What the hammer, what the chain? In what furnace was thy brain? What the anvil, what dead grasp, what dread grasp dare its deadly terrors clasp? When the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Did he who made the lamb make thee? Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? Okay, so again, I recommend reading it twice. Pause now, read it for yourself out loud. Okay, I hope you came back. We didn't just pause it and say, forget this guy. Hope you came back. Let's talk a little bit about this really quickly so that you can start using this for your next dinner party, or impress somebody with your thoughts on the evil of the problem of evil, whatever. Oops. There we go. So a couple of questions that I came up with came from this poem. So what kind of a creator could design such a monster? So again, remember the monster that kills, that takes babies in the night, that murders your family, your friends, your husband, your wife. That's a tiger, not the cuddly guy, a monstrous beast that kills. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night, what immortal hand or eye? So think about what kind of person, what kind of creator, what kind of maker crafts such evil, such demonry. So that's the first one. What kind of creator could design such a monster? And this is something to get the juices flowing for people. Maybe they won't have an answer right away, but I would recommend you think of something. Maybe it's a creator who has a different kind of plan than what we can think of. Think of something for your particular party. So the next question, was the creator pleased with his accomplishment? That's an interesting one for the problem of evil. In what distant deeps or skies burnt the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire? What the hand dare seize the fire? So it's, what the hand dare seize the fire? It's like, an all-powerful, omnipotent being. That's the only kind of being that could create such a beastly creation. What dread hand, what dread feet, what the hammer, what the chain. So this is basically saying, in what furnace was thy brain? This is saying, where did the materials come to make such a ferocious animal? Today, how we think about nuclear weapons and all the horrible death machines we've created. What kind of, we say it's man, well, that's just human, right? Humans are beasts, we're evil, we have evil in us, and that's how we can create, the guillotine, which was a horrible, terrifying machine back in the day. Well, what kind of a creature, what kind of a human, or what kind of a being would create such a beast? I like saying beast. When the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? So was the creator pleased with his accomplishment? When, America dropped the bomb on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, were we pleased at the act of destruction? Were those men pleased to murder, to kill? Was God pleased to create a plague that wiped out a third of humanity? Was he pleased? Did he who made the lamb make thee? Why would God, or any creator, why would an all-knowing and all-powerful creator design an evil monster and an innocent being? Why? Why both? Why not just be innocent? Why does there need to be evil and the thing to be destroyed, the innocence? Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night, what immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? And then the last questions that you could ask are, what are your thoughts on the problem of evil? What are your thoughts on the problem of evil? If you have thoughts on the problem of evil, share it with me here, but really I hope that you use this at a dinner party. I'm going to provide, some questions in an easily downloadable thing, but you can just, print this out. I'm going to try and make something that's you can print it out yourself, and I'm going to try and make that downloadable on Kirk J. Barbera, Barbera, on Facebook. I'm also going to create something for Pinterest and things like that. So you can follow me and find the creations for dinner party poetry there. But I hope you notice this is a very simple poem. You do not need to be a philosophy major, a literature major, anything like that to access this poem. And this is something, just think about printing this out. I'll provide this, print it out, put it on, all the tables everywhere, and then put the questions around it and watch. People will pick it up because it's attractive, it's interesting, and they'll start asking the questions, they'll start thinking about it, and you can help them get started. And once people get started, once you get them some wine and get them started, then they will go, go, go. And they'll have fun with it, and it's a cool little game that's a little bit more interesting than just the normal board games. If you're like me and you're getting bored of all the board games. Bored of the board games. Okay, so I'm Kirk Barbera. This is Dinner Party Poem, The Tiger by William Blake, and Ravenswood, a Cabernet. So thank you, and I will see you next time.